Okay,
First
great.
of all, I want to welcome Clarice Miller to Love and Relationship Show. And no, she is the Vice President of Deshalamar Enterprises, and I will allow her to give what all is encompassed in Deshalamar Enterprises. So thank you, Clarice, for joining us here on Love and Relationship.
How are you guys tonight?
Oh, great.
Good. I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm doing great. And I just wanted to thank you for inviting me on. This is a great opportunity. I'm happy to be here with you.
Right.
Well, thank you definitely for accepting the opportunities. I mean, especially at such short notice, because I hit you up like last week, and so the response was quick. So thank you. And we definitely want to give room for you to talk about Deshalamar Enterprises and what is encompassed in that, and kind of give us a little background.
Sure. Okay. Deshalamar Enterprises is actually our for-profit business. We started in 2009 with a product called the Lockdown, and it hasn't taken off just yet, but it's on its way. So, actually, I'm sorry, we started that in 2006. And in 2009, we came together and we said, okay, this product is going to take off. We want to be able to give back to the community. So we decided to start Deshalamar CDC, 501c3, which is our nonprofit. We deal with domestic violence issues, homeless vets, and Huntington's disease. Because my partner and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. My partner's a vet, and my family's been affected by Huntington's disease. So we decided we were just going to do what we could to give back. So basically for the last 2 years, we've been raising awareness online for these issues. And what we're starting to do now is we're starting to do fundraisers and take donations to go towards our programs that we want to have in place. When it comes to the domestic violence, sometimes it gets to the point where the woman has to go into a domestic violence shelter and take her children and make it so that they are safe. And what we want to do is be able to pick up the slack where, the shelter systems that are in place right now are wonderful. There are advocacy programs where they'll go into court with you and help you, and everything is really fine-tuned with that. But what we want to do is try to pick up the slack where those programs don't step in. When September comes around and the mothers have to worry about buying school clothes, we want to be able to say, okay, well, here's a gift card to your local clothing store. Go provide for your children, because those things are really overlooked within the system. So that's what our hopes are to do on that angle. Things like that, help provide basic needs and things that just other organizations aren't set up to do as of now.
Right. Definitely. And so what you mentioned that you yourself are a domestic abuse survivor. What kind of, after having dealt with that, what kind of then prompted you to go in and do for others? Because usually some people will take that and say, try to keep themselves out of any kind of spotlight and kind of keep it personal, because it's something that's personal, and sometimes you end up taking the abuse as something that you personally did, so you're personally responsible for. What prompted you to get out and do what you do?
Well,
can you hold just one moment? Can you
Sure.
set it up for all our listeners? Can you, before you answer that question, can you kind of set it up on what type of situation you were in and how you went through your steps of getting out, and then can you go to that question? Can you I think the callers and the people in the chat room get kind of intimate connection with you if you kind of explain your situation and what you did to better it. Okay.
Okay. I have been abuse-free for 12 years now. When I was 15, I started dating a boy, and he told me he loved me, and I thought it was the most wonderful thing in the world. It didn't matter to me how he treated me because his words were so great. He would tell me he loved me and then turn around and hit me. And I would forgive him because he had a life that was so hard, and he basically had me believing that I was the only thing in the world that was good in his life, and if I left him, he had nothing. So I always dreamed of one day he's going to change. One day he's going to see how much I love him. One day things are going to get better. Well, we got married when I was 18. I had my first child when I was 21. By the time I was 26, I had 4 children. He never worked a day in his life. I was the sole provider for our family. I worked 85 hours a week. I never saw my children. And when I would come home from work, he would abuse me in any way possible. He would sexually abuse me. He would physically abuse me. And I have to go back to what you had said earlier, that the emotional abuse was the worst part. The emotional abuse was what took me the longest to get over. He would anytime I'd say I want to leave him, he would say to me, well, I'll kill the kids and then you'll come home, and when you're done crying, I'll kill you and I'll kill myself. And this was just unbelievable to me, how someone that I loved and decided to spend my life with treated me like such garbage. It took me a lot of years to get out of there. My oldest daughter was 7 when we finally left. My youngest was 2. It was very hard to get away from him because he was very possessive and very controlling, and he would never leave all 4 of my children alone with me. People used to say, well, why don't you just take the kids and go? Well, he would always take my son with him if he left to go to the store. I couldn't leave without all 4 of my children. So it was very difficult, and it was very hard to get away, but I did it. I found the strength inside myself, and I made the changes I needed to make for my family. We actually had to go into a domestic violence shelter, which was very scary. I mean, it was very scary. But we did it, and he still had some visitation. He had 4 hours on Sundays. The courts gave him that 4 hours. And during his last visit with my children, my son wound up getting beat up by a family member of his, and the police were called. And they said, well, you know, you have to bring these children to see him, but you need to go into the court and tell them it's not safe. So it was a very long court battle. They finally terminated his rights, and then he just was relentless in looking for us and trying to find us. And I had a file that was, I mean, I still have it, but the file was full of police reports and pictures of my bruises and statements from his own mother stating what he had done to my children when she had seen them with him, because he was physical with them too.
Could I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
At any point doing this ordeal and doing these things, I'm a very advocate of documenting things so you can kind of see it. At any point during all this stuff that was going on, did you try to seek any type of counseling outside of, because most of the time we equate counseling as friends and mothers, but I'm talking about professional counseling, like couple counseling or family counseling.
When I was with him, when I was still with him, no, because he thought there was no problem.
When you was in the relationship,
did
you seek any being proactive to find out? Because I'm more not about, like when we have a disagreement or a situation with couples, I'm more about finding proactive or finding a solution more than I'm looking at the problem of what is being done inside the relationship. So I was just wanting to know, did you take any time out of there to get counseling to limit some of the things and behavior that he was doing?
No.
Outside
honestly,
of, like friends?
Absolutely never. No, we never did. And the reason being is he thought there was no problem. And he would flat out tell me, well, this is how I grew up. It's the only way I know. And that would be his answer. And I couldn't understand it. I still to this day don't understand it. But we went to the shelter. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't mean to cut you off, but
That's okay.
I have a lot of questions. At what point when you seen that the signs that he was being vindictive in fashion and he was being overpossessive at that time, at what long inside the environment? And waited so long, was it like a breaking point when you were ready to just tip, and then that made you click and say, well, hey, I have to make a change? Why was it taking so long for you to determine to get out?
In the beginning, I always believed that he would change. I always believed things would get better, and I always, just continued to try and be the good wife. And then after we started having the children, and I started to see that things were not going to change, there was just so much fear that, well, one, where would I go? What would I do? How am I going to raise these kids on my own? And two, he just wouldn't let me go. He was so possessive. He was always there. And like I said, he always took one of my children with him. So but by the time I was strong enough to say, I want to get out of this, he was smart enough to know how to keep me in by not leaving me alone with all four of the kids. And
were any
my
signs
knowledge
before
of
that?
I'm sorry?
Were any signs like before the children came, like your dating period? How long was that? Because that's a key component that I want the listeners to hear you say. How long did you date the
We started dating when I was 15, and we got married when I was 18.
Okay.
Yes.
And so before you had kids, well, how long were y'all dating, actually in a relationship before you had the children?
I had my first daughter when I was 21.
Okay. So you had it was a pretty substantial amount of time.
It was a substantial amount of time, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And at that time, too, my self-esteem was so low. So low. I mean, I was, I in my own mind thought I didn't deserve any better because I had been in it for so long. That's what I was going to ask you,
too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask you, too, because I know you talked about how, it's true about the emotional side of things. Is that what took place first, where he was emotionally kind of manipulating you and then the abuse came, or was it always the abuse and also there was the emotional abuse going? Was it always physical and then emotional, or was it emotional first, then physical?
I'll be 100% honest. It was almost from the first week we started dating, it was an emotional mix with a sexual abuse.
Wow.
The first time we had sex, I told him I was not ready, and he did not take that for an answer. And in my past, I had been sexually abused as a child. So when it happened in this relationship with someone who I was supposed to be dating, it really messed with my head. It was just like, now I was 15 years old. I didn't have the knowledge that I have today. I was a kid. I was a child. So something like twisted inside me that was like, this is just what life is. This is what's been done to me my whole life, and this is just the way life is, because that was all I knew.
Wow.
And I really started to accept it because that was all I knew.
Okay. Let me people in the chat room and everybody listening to this story, and it's very, very touching, and it's real, and this goes on day to day. And people that listen to the show, that we put a sentiment out there. The way you come in relationships are most of the time the way you end up. So in this particular case, from the beginning it had some signs, but we're always talking about we love so hard, and we use the default words, which are hope and get better and reconciliation. Those words right there, those sometimes put you in a trap to be with a person for a long time. And I just want to say this to women. It's no such thing as getting better when it's abuse, because your life with another person or a person that comes into your life is supposed to enhance it, not diminish it. Mm-hmm. So we got to understand that even though that you don't have, your self-esteem is low and you feel like you might can't make it on your own and all these things are against you, we got a person, what's your last name? Because I like to be formal. Yes.
Miller. Clarice Miller.
Miller, okay. Miss Miller is one of the persons that took back her life and made a conscious effort to be proactive about making a difference. And the earlier that you make this change, the better. Because I don't want any woman out there to wait 5 and 6 years for a man to get better. We don't wait. We don't want to. In 2011, we don't want to wait for people to get better anymore. We don't want to be helping them in their sickness. And that's what was. I started not to even just do the show. I started to counsel, but this is a big issue. And stop helping a person that don't want to help themselves. You have to just get out of that, and there are resources, there are things to be proactive about being healthy, because we can't, and males out there, if you're listening, you got to understand that you have a personal role in a woman's life as well. And that goes for me, my son, my brothers. You have an obligation to lead a woman in peace and in happiness and the correct way. We got to stop being we're so physical that we bring all that testosterone onto an individual that has no clue about what we're trying to get them, you know. And I think that this is a very good, and I want you to continue, but I also want people to leave out of the relationship. I want you to pack your bags up and move from that situation.
Yes.
Because anything is better than being anything is better than being in a situation with a person that's sick. Now, in true fact, I give him the card that this person is a good person, but sometimes your behavior dominates the good person in you. And why people stay so long is they see the good in you when you don't see it in yourself.
Right.
And they continue to stay with you, hoping that good person will resonate over the bad behavior that you got. And sometimes subconsciously, when you get mad at a person, we forget to foster the programs that we want on our own self, because you need to treat people exactly like you want to be treated. Or, in my case, I would want a person to treat my daughter good, so I'm going to treat their daughter good.
Right.
So it's just about getting proactive about health, and this right here is like it's a very, very big epidemic, and it's a sickness, and it goes both ways for females and males that are in relationships that are abusive and destructive and non-proactive to being healthy. We have to remove ourselves and move on to be healthy, because it just hurts my heart to hear an individual in a relationship, and you're not the only woman. I had like 5 or 6 emails sent to me on women that can't get out of this relationship, and the person is just saying, and when it gets to the point, and it really just, you know, I kind of get choked up here, but when it gets to the point where a person is saying that, hey, I'm going to kill you or take your life, then this person is beyond waiting around for, because that is a sickness, and you can't be around that ever. And when somebody goes that far to, you know, keep you confined and keep you in this circumstance, that's where you got to get out. And you need not only do you need professional counseling, you need to get law enforcement involved in this. And do not make any excuses, women. Do not make any excuses, because it's too many times that you flick on the news and a mate has came back and harmed someone physically where it's fatal. And it's the silliest and ridiculous behavior for males. And I'm very hard on males on this show, because we have a responsibility at all times, no matter what creed or color you are. You have a responsibility to lead and protect, because a woman, she comes in your life to be protect and love. And then when she's in the relationship with you, you doing the opposite of what you said you was going to do. And it doesn't get that bad to put your hands on somebody or threaten somebody. That's not love. That is not love. That's just the opposite of love. That's somebody that hates you. And we talked about this all on the show, but sometimes we are so in us to love so hard that we give people second chance, third chance, fourth chance, looking for that redemption, but it never comes. So I didn't mean to go on and rant, but this is this is a big deal, and we have to go back to 61. We have to go back to 1963. We have to go through, the walk on Washington, when men had a different role, and we got to. And I'm not saying that it's just all men, but I'm coming from a male's perspective, so I can understand this. I get this all the time. He didn't, came up here and busted in the door, or that behavior. When it gets that bad, males, remove yourself from the situation because it has exhausted all its possibilities at that point.
Right.
Because this will leave a person emotionally scarred for years. And the first thing that I get when I'm talking to somebody, which is just dear to my heart because I have a daughter, and she said, I just can't trust men. And it's not all men, it's this particular men was so destructive that carried on for a long period of time. So I'm a proponent and a fan of, after you do remove yourself from an abusive situation, you do need some counseling. I mean professional counseling.
Absolutely.
To get you back to the next level because, just explaining that to your parents and explaining it to your girlfriend, that just won't do because you have to have a program and foster something after. Because you got to recover. While that person is gone on, you recovering from his mess or her mess.
Right.
And you have to recover and be healthy. And the first thing we talk about on this show is healing. HEAL is the first four letters in being healthy. So to be healthy, you got to heal.
Amen.
After somebody is that destructive, and it just hurt my heart. I'm sorry for all the males around the country for a man to say he would physically harm a woman. That just do something for me, because I have a daughter, and P was like, we need to do the show, and what we need you to do, if you could, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want you to talk for 2 hours, not an hour, but we need you on the show. And we need to do another show where that you can just help women all around the country for 2 hours. And I want you to come.
That I'd be interested anytime you want me on the show because that is now such a big part of who I am. It took me so many years to build my strength up. And you're so right. Once you leave, you have got to get into therapy. I did therapy for 5 years, 3 times a week, and there was so many things that I could not voice to my therapist. And one day she said to me, Clarice, if you can't say it, write me a letter. I'll read it, and then we'll discuss it. And I sat down at my kitchen table, and I just started to write. And now I've always been a writer. And I continued to write for months and months and months. And by the time I was done, I had my autobiography, which I just published in an ebook. It's called Looking Down at the Storm. And soon it's going to go to print. And my hopes for that book is that when a woman picks it up and reads it and sees this is what Clarice went through, and this is similar to what I'm going through, if she did it, I can do it. There is help out there. It is possible to get your children and get yourself safe and stay safe. Now, with us, after we left the shelter and a few months went by and they terminated his rights, he started to get very dangerous. He blocked me in with his car one time, and he wound up getting arrested, and he just violated the order of protection so many times that my lawyer advised me that it was time to take it to the next level. And I went into a courtroom, and I filled out the paperwork, and I told the judge my story. And 10 years ago, he issued for myself and my children new first names, new last names, new Social Security numbers to keep us safe. That's how bad it had gotten. That's how bad it had gotten. And people always ask me about my name, and they say, I think of Silence of the Lambs. And that's exactly where I got that name from. Because if you know the movie, there was a part where the main character, Clarice, was talking about her childhood trauma, and they were slaughtering the spring lambs, and she tried to free them, and she opened the gate, and they just stayed there. And that was me for so long. I was so used to being abused and beaten down that I was just staying there. The gates were open. The places were available to me to get help. It was out there, but I was afraid to go get it. So,
would you please give out your information?
I want to say that's important. That's very important for people to understand, because a lot of people who have not been through any type of abuse will say, well, why didn't you just get out? Well, why didn't you just leave? Sometimes you've adopted or you've gotten so used to that type of behavior happening to you that you sometimes don't realize it. And then even if you do, you just don't see how to get out of it, or you can't get out of it because it's like it has you locked in.
And I became normal.
Yeah, it becomes normal.
Yeah,
exactly. It becomes normal to you. It's crazy, but I mean, I've been in physically abusive relationships when I was in my teens, and I was in emotionally abusive relationship for years, and that's why I can tell you without a doubt, definitely the emotional abuse lasts much longer. It has much deeper effects. But however, physical abuse can lead to death, and that's eternal. So I definitely want to give out the phone number. If anyone would like to call in, the number is 347-934-0691. Press the number 1. That lets us know you want to come in on the call. But I do want to give you the floor also to go ahead and give out your information and also where we can get your ebook.
Absolutely. If you go to Deshalamar.org, it's capital DESHALAMAR.org, and click on projects. You'll see my book there, and it gives you the direct link, gives you the Facebook page for it. We've really got a lot of different things going on. We also have on there an ongoing fundraiser for domestic violence that we are using to, put towards our programs that we want to put in place. There are different T-shirts and hats and bags with a beautiful design that my daughter designed. It's a purple ribbon with flowers, and it says, Domestic Violence Awareness, because love shouldn't hurt. So anyone that makes a purchase there, the proceeds go directly into our nonprofit to help the next person, with whatever basic needs they have. We're not funded right now. We run off of charitable donations and fundraisings. We are doing a big fundraiser in September. I don't have the exact date, but this information will be up on the website soon. So we're going to do a fashion show with our for-profit product, the Locks Down, and it's going to be called Locks for Life Fashion Show, and all the proceeds are going to go into, we're trying to open up our first Bet's House, we're trying to get our domestic violence programs in place, so we're really trying to do all that we can to raise the funds so that we can help someone else. It's needed, it's necessary. And I have to tell you, so many women just off Facebook have bought my autobiography in the ebook form. They really want the real book, but it's not ready yet. But they bought the ebook, and I have gotten so many emails telling me, Clarice, I can relate to this so much. One of the women read one of the poems about my childhood sexual abuse, and she said to me, Clarice, you just said what I've been trying to say for 40 years. And it is amazing because everyone thinks they're alone. I thought I was alone. I knew I wasn't the only one, but there was nothing, there was no communication. I was so isolated and so afraid. And we just want women to know you're not alone. The shelter systems are wonderful. They have so many programs in place. You can do it. You can do it. You just have to make that decision to do it because nobody else can do it for you.
You said a very, very key component. Now, I know that we can't give you all the pointers, but and I totally agree. Women or men that are, if you guys are in an abusive relationship, the first step would be to write all this stuff down. And once you write it down, most of the time people, 100% of the time, they're visual. So you can actually look at what's going on in your life, because it's your day-to-day and you kind of forget about what happened last week, that argument that led to some pushing and shoving. And what you do before you even get out, you document. And you just write, I got in an argument and it got, it was verbal, it was abusive or whatever. And once you start to write this stuff down, and you go back and look a month and a half, you're going to be like, wow. You're going to be looking at it visually, and it's going to be on paper, and it's just going to jump off the page at you. And once it jumps off the page, you're able to make that connection with yourself that you need to remove. Because you're going to look at it and you're going to say, this is just not healthy. This is unacceptable. But if you don't write it down and don't let it jump off the page and resonate in your soul and resonate as you're looking at it, you'll continue to keep on putting up with stuff because you really don't have anything leverage to move on. You do have something to move on, but you're so forgiving. But once you can see it, you're like, man, over the last 2 months, this is what's been going on in my life, and I allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
And that's important, women and men. Go ahead.
One of the guests in the chat room, Cultured, is a professional therapist and was stating that they're always amazed that during an assessment the number of women that don't know that they're being abused. And I will definitely agree to that because during the time, it's funny when you grow up a certain way and you learn a certain thing and you try your best to be opposite of what you've seen in your parents, if they had an unhealthy relationship. So you try to be in the opposite. Mine was, okay, I want to be loving and forgiving because my parents didn't exhibit that when I was growing up. So being in that relationship, that was emotionally abusive, I felt like I was being too hard. So when I saw something, I would back off of it because it was like, okay, well, I'm being too judgmental. I'm being too hard on things. And his answer was always, well, you don't know how to love because this is what you saw growing up. And so that, looking back on it now, I can definitely say that the emotional abuse started at the beginning of our relationship. But I saw it as, well, I was dysfunctional because I never seen a healthy relationship, so I needed to hold in there longer. And I held in there longer, and it got worse, and it tore down self-esteem. It tore down all of that and basically stripped me of nothing. But when I finally did get the courage to get up and leave, it was a surprise to everyone because I didn't discuss my problems with anyone. I didn't discuss it with family. I didn't discuss it with friends. I would talk to him about it. But it wasn't something that we discussed openly to anyone else because it was always, well, we don't want anyone else knowing what's going on in our household. We're the ones that are married to each other, so we need to deal with our problems ourselves. Had I known better, I definitely would have done better.
And I like the therapist, what she said, you're going through the motions and you don't know you're being abused because the behavior becomes normal. Yep. The arguments become normal. Then it escalates to maybe a shove, and then escalates to a slap. But in its progression, it's normal, see. And most women and men, when they're being in an abusive relationship, they equate that to normalcy. But they rather be in something to be not in something, if that makes any sense. They rather be in a relationship, hey, I'm in a relationship and it's a work in progress. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm here to tell you that you can't be in anything that's unhealthy. And that's what I'm rushing and I'm working to get my book out, because if you live in truth and you identify problems early that's unhealthy, then you're more prone to make better executive decisions about your life. Because a lot of times on this show I say being selfish at times for your betterment of you is always healthy. Because sometimes people don't care enough about you, so you have to care about yourself.
Right.
At some point, and I was in an abusive relationship. And at some point, and after I broke it all the way down, I contributed because I helped this person be unhealthy to me.
Right.
And that's a statement that can really resonate through all the people that have been abused. Now, when I looked at it and I found the honest, then I found the strength to leave, because I'm helping you to a certain extent be healthy. Because
right.
I could have nipped that in the bud from, this is not the criteria and this is not the level that I need you to be with. I'm not going to procreate with you because you can't handle that.
Right.
And we talk about this on our show so much. Ladies, do your homework. Do your homework on your man or somebody, because this is the person that you're going to be with the rest of your life. It's just like an investment. Wouldn't you do a thorough investment before you sent somebody $50,000 to invest it in something?
No.
You would do that. So you got to invest in your life. You have to wait. You have to be cautious. I don't care what they say. You need to get to know this person. Especially, this year I'm going to be on it, and I'm not going to stop. When you give your body to somebody, that's sacred. That's not nothing to play with. So before I do that, I got to know who I'm dealing with. And they can mask for only a certain amount of time. And then little by little, that person will become comfortable, and all his habits will lay in your lap. You'll find out who you're dealing with. So then you can make your judgment. Well, see, you ain't so caught up and you're not so blind. You're not all in love and you don't think this is the best, because now you have options and choices. And that creates balance in a relationship. And I want everybody to be balanced. I don't want you to go for what the person says go. You want to go for the thing that you know, hey, does this feel good? If this don't feel good, it can't be good.
Mm-hmm.
If it don't feel good and the person is not making you happy, it's not a good relationship. It's just that, the bottom line. But you can continue. Can you give out your web? Did you give out your website?
The website is Deshalamar, DESHALAMAR.org. And all our projects are on there.
Right. Go out and check this website out. Go out and pick this book up to know that you're not alone, because people think that they can't, especially women, they think like, man, I'm ashamed of what's going on and I'm by myself. You're not by yourself. Trust me. People going through this every day, and this is what this foundation is trying to be more proactive to get you out of that environment and let you know that you have a support system, because that's very important to have a support system to make that transition.
Absolutely. And it's crazy, because once I did get out and I had this normal life and my children were happy, I was a little uncomfortable at first. I didn't know how to just be happy. And it took me a little while to figure it out. And now, I'm happy all the time. My kids are great. They're all doing wonderful. It's great. But honestly, in the beginning, it had become so normal to be in that situation that once I was out, it was like, okay, now what do I do? You're telling me I've got a regular life now and I can be happy? Wait a minute, how does that work? And I figured it out.
That's good.
Figured it out.
Yeah. So now with the Deshalamar, how long have you been in business? And if anyone out there right now needed to get in contact with you, they're in an abusive situation and they need to get out, how would they go about getting in contact with you?
They can actually, if they're in an abusive relationship and they want help to find how they can get out, they can email me, Clarice, CLARICE, at Locksdown, LOCKSDOWN.com, and I will help you find the system that's in place wherever you are. I'm in New York. If you're in California and you email me and say, Clarice, can you help me? I'm going to call you. I'm going to email you back. I'm going to get in contact with you. I will do the research. I will find you a shelter system. I will find you whatever programs are in place by you, and I will help you figure it out, because that's what everyone needs. They need someone to say, okay, this is not working, so if you try this, go this direction, it will get better. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Some people just need that little bit of help. Maybe they don't have the motivation, or they don't have the means, or maybe they're in such a bad relationship that they cannot do the research on their own. You know, so you can contact us, and we will help you find what's in place in your area, because the shelter systems are wonderful. They really are. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's scary, but it works. It works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me give out this email address also. That's Broderick with a BRODERICK CARTER379@gmail.com. If all you have to do is email me, we will get all this information. Email me if you're in an abusive relationship, and I have theories and things to put together where you can get out of that and make that smooth transition where it can be healthy, a healthy transition. And you got Miss Clarice's, and P, give out yours as well, too.
Definitely. I mean, anytime you need any assistance on any shows that we've done or any guests that we've had on and you need to get in contact with them, you can send an email to love, the letter N, relationships@gmail.com, and we can definitely get in contact with or send you the information to those guests or anything that we've had to kind of help out and assist in whatever way possible. And I definitely want to thank you so much again, Clarice, for coming on with such short notice and sharing. We definitely want you to come back, because I believe that your story, along with the movement that you're doing for abused women, is so important. It's very vital. And I understand that it's equal, that there are men that are abused as well. I mean, and it's not to say that we don't recognize that there are men that are abused as well, but I definitely have an opinion on a man that abuses a woman, and it's usually more so that women are abused than men are abused, but it definitely does happen. I know I have friends myself that have male friends that have been abused, so, and it is a different kind of shame that goes along with that. So,
and let me interrupt. Also, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Pete, but also on the Love and Relationship show, we're here from every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we have an open forum, and we have a unique type of show. When we're doing our topic, if you call in with a problem or anything, we break 2 counts for you on that problem. So it's a unique show. So you don't have to sit there. You can call our show as well. And you can use a name that's other than your regular name, but we can give you pointers on getting out and making the transition also. So you have free reign to call our show, and we'll cut right out our topic and go to helping people, because that's what it's all about, being proactive and helping people in relationships.
Definitely. And I believe we have a caller from the 631 area code that I want to bring in. Carla, you're on live with Love and Relationship. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Dion Lieutenant. I am president of Deshalamar Enterprises, co-founder of Deshalamar Enterprises. I'm Clarice's partner.
Hey, partner.
Hello, Dion. How are you?
What's going on? I've been listening.
Welcome.
And thank you. And I just wanted to basically say that I've known Clarice for about 10 years now, and I'm so proud of where she's come from and what she's doing now in her life, you know, and I didn't see the actual struggle, you know. I seen that the after effects, and she would tell me little stuff here and there, you know, and honestly, I still haven't really been able to read the book. I get to parts of it, and it really bothers me, so I really can't move forward, because Clarice and I are very good friends, you know, and it just makes me angry how someone could treat another human being like that, you know, and that's my partner, that's my friend. I mean, we talk about anything and everything, you know what I'm saying? We built this business from nothing, pushing shopping cart to the pantries, trying to feed the kids and everything because we're trying to do this business, you know, and we've just been through so much. And I'm just proud of where we're going and what we're doing right now. And I just wanted to let her know I was online, so it's all good.
Thank you, partner.
Man.
Thank you.
That's good. And also, man, I just love. It's just very, very, very. This is a real touchy subject to me, but also the predator needs help as well.
Right.
We got to get them as help to learn not to have that type of behavior. The person that is perpetuating that type of behavior on another person has a problem. They need help as well, whether it's male or female. So we have to be proactive all around the board.
Yeah, but sometimes he can't get help until he gets locked up or something. You know what I mean? If he never goes to jail or never gets caught or whatever, you know, will he seek help on his own? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the issue, because you know, if this is normal behavior, if this is normal a pattern of life, you know, if this is what he learned, then this is normal for him. So why would he think he has a problem?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so we have to be we have to foster programs, and we have to, and the sentiment that I always put out on the show is we have to live in truth with ourselves before we can live in truth with others. And even if a person is perpetuating this type of behavior inside a person, because they created in good, they know that this behavior is not
right.
healthy.
Exactly.
They know it's not healthy, whether they want to recognize that behavior, because I really believe in all men and women are created in goodness, but the behavior is in a dilapidated state, so that it's behavior, and what we want to do is modify your behavior and let you know. And Clarice said something so important that I got to hit on it again before we get out, that if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to write it down. Not only write it down, but you need to show that individual the things that he's been doing. And they might not even equate that, that ain't nothing. They might go that route. But once you show them that behavior and you look at it and you say, this is not healthy, and you know it. Right. And not out of emotional, and I know it's hard. A man can be so intimidating when he come in and belligerent in his violent state that he's in. But the calmer you are and the non-emotional that you explain things, that you convey them better. All right.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I'm very spiritual, right? And so I'm just going to tell you what the Word of God says. We are born into sin, shaped in iniquity. Iniquity is sins passed down so I'm talking about sin, father sins passed down to sons, passed down to sons, passed down to sons. You understand what I'm saying? So there comes a level of denial, because this is actually what you know. This is actually all you have learned. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that a relationship with God and a spiritual understanding and a spiritual awakening can break generational curses, because that's what it is. It's a generational curse. When a child grows up and sees his father beating on his mother, and then he grows up and he's beating on his mother, that's shaped in iniquity. You know what I mean? This is what I know. And the only true entity that can break that is our spiritual provider. Now, that's just me. And that's how I feel about it. I believe God can do all things. Right. We can do all things through Christ Jesus, who strengthens us.
Amen.
That's all I got to say about that. Partner, I love you. Thank you very much. You did your thing.
I love you too. Thank you for calling. That means the world to me. I'm so glad you called in. That's awesome.
All right.
We are a powerful team. We are Deshalamar.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, thank you definitely so much for calling in, Dion. And I definitely agree with what you stated as well. And I always look at it like this, and this is something that after I got healthy, I kind of learned, and that is if a man can't love God, how can he love you? So that's my litmus test.
Right.
That's right.
We don't. Like most of the times, I don't perpetuate that on my show, but I always build relationships on a foundation. And I'm just going to say it today since they pulled it out. And sometimes
You're fading out. You're fading out, brother. Your voice
I heard something about Ken equated on my show, and he started fading out. Woo!
That's the enemy. That's the enemy. He starts talking God, the whole thing will blow up. That's how he does. But we got to talk it anyway because it's the truth.
That's right, yo.
if you don't make a foundation with God,
wow.
any type of relationship, whether it's
that wasn't me.
Ooh, yeah, your voice is completely, Broderick, your phone is completely out. I mean, like, we can just barely hear you. It's very faint.
I'm going to tell you what happened. He said, he don't equate God in his show, and now, we ain't hearing him no more.
I equate it in my show all the time, but I'm kind of reserved with my religion, and I don't want to put it on other people. But if she knows me, she know I'm real spiritual, and my foundation of building anything healthy, I build it on God. So that's kind of how we got the show. But you can understand, sometimes I be more humble, and I don't put that on the show. But every once in a while, I let it out that you really can't have anything good outside of putting God first in it.
You talking right now, bro.
Right.
You know what?
You
know what? Now I'm gonna send you an email. I'm gonna send you an email now. We good.
I just don't. I'm real humble and reserved on it, but I can go on about all the methods I want to about relationship, but it always falls back. God has to be the first step in everything I do, or it's going to fail. And I know this not by just talking it, I live it. A lot of failure, yeah.
That's right.
So you can't, and if you don't have a man that loves God, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want to be the dead horse with it, but you got to have something to go back to truth on. So when you arguing about something in a relationship, you got to go back to that word. So once you go back to that word, then everything falls into place because y'all have a place to go for truth. And if you don't have no place to go for truth, then it's just going to be, y'all just going to be mundane in what y'all do because you got to have a place to go for truth. Because if she say, hey, this is not right and this is not wrong, I can say, let's go to the word, baby. And let's figure it out through the word.
It ain't about I'm right or you wrong or you right and I'm wrong or whatever. It's about what the Word of God says. What does God say in this situation? Because the Word of God says nothing new under the sun. So that means what we're going through, somebody else has been there. So if somebody else has been there, it's in that word, trust.
Right.
It's in that word. Whatever.
And a fan in the chat room from Florida wants to send a love and hugs to you, Clarice. They said they love you down in Florida. So it's eyes on you. In the chat room.
Thank you.
All right.
I wish I was in Florida right now.
I'm going to get off the line right now. Y'all be blessed, and thank you for having me. And Clarice did a great job. I can't wait to hear it online later on.
Thank you, partner. Thank you for calling in.
All right.
Thank you. Definitely, most definitely. But, yes, it is very important to have a standard, and that's where someone can so easily come in and manipulate another person is because if you don't have a standard, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So if there's no standard and you don't have anything to measure anything against, then someone can tell you whatever they want to and you're falling for it because you don't have anything to measure it against. So if it sounds good, some people can make things, I'm sorry, but Satan was able to make things sound good, and it sounded good to Eve, and the whole man has fallen because of that. So you need something more than just someone telling you something. It has to be followed up by action, and it needs to be set up against a standard. And someone had asked me a question on last week. I have this person that he asked me every day, question of the day, and his question was something along the lines of right and wrong. And if there's a good, can you say that there has to be evil? Or if there's bad, can you say that there has to be good? I said, yeah, otherwise you wouldn't know the standard to measure what's evil. So if you don't know that there's a good, then you won't know what's an evil. So have a standard, and once you have your standard, no one can tell you different. So
I have to tell you, when Dion and I met 10 years ago, I had just read some book. Now, I was spiritually lost for years. I flat out admit it. I was so mad at God for whatever happened in my life. I was fighting every spiritual aspect. But until actually one woman had said to me, you need to pray. God can do anything. And I was just like, but when Dion and I met, I was convinced there was no devil, there was no enemy. I had no clue what I thought was right because I was so lost. And he said to me, Clarice, if you believe there's a God, you have to believe there's a devil. Mm-hmm. And we started talking, and, he really started talking and presenting the Bible to me. And, within maybe 3 months of us knowing each other, I started turning around because I started listening, and I started hearing, and I started remembering what I learned as a child. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. I just live my life that when people look at me, I hope that they see God's light. I hope that they see his forgiveness, and they see that with him, you can't fail. You can't fail. When you walk in his will, your life's going to line up. It's just going to line up.
Definitely. And I definitely want to say again that we truly appreciate you coming on and spending time with us and sharing your story. And I definitely want to give you the room to say your website again for those who are just joining us, and put out the information on how they can get your ebook and any information that you want to put out for people to get in contact with you.
Sure. It's Deshalamar, capital DESHALAMAR.org. And if you click on projects, you'll see the link that'll take you right where you can find my ebook, and you can actually view the PDF of the first 3 chapters right on our website. So you can read the first 3 chapters and check it out before you make the purchase and decide, do I want to read this story? I had someone read the first 3 chapters, and they're like, I'm so interested, I can't put it down. And then when they got a little further in, they're like, I can't pick it up because it's too hard. It is definitely a hard read. It is definitely a hard read. I'm not going to lie. It's very emotional. It's very raw. It goes from the beginning of my life all the way up until when we walked away, and it's a great book, but it is a hard read. It is a hard read.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your facets and everything you went through. But we would like to have you back on the show to have a complete Q&A of like 2 hours, where that not only that you can point out to women across the country, promote your book as well, and put pieces together where they can direct them so they can, if they don't have money to buy the book, they can come in and listen to you, and they can take some of those things down on a pen and pad and use those type of tools. Because it's important for people that anyway, by any means necessary, let's get your help. And just to reiterate that outside of the show, me and P, we talk a lot, and we do build a foundation on God, and that's everything with us.
Yes.
But also, as when we're doing the show, we want to take the individuals in the steps and also let them find God for themselves, because once they find it for themselves, it changes everything, because it's a beautiful experience.
That's right.
And he'll put the pieces, like I was telling a friend of mine, God never puts things on us where it's so much that we can't handle it. Just when we come to that edge, he put pieces in there where we can just be pulled back.
Right.
And he starts to bless and make changes. But we thinking, oh, why is he doing this? And why is this? And we be upset with him. But sometimes he's making us. And he's taking us through something. So, because it's for a purpose. And the purpose is, and I was wondering, why do we have the show? And our purpose is in this show, and it's for free, is to help people.
Right.
And always possible. And just by Twitter wasn't there then. Twitter made you and P hook up, and now we have a beautiful show. And all this was meticulously mapped out before we even all got together on the show. God already knew this was going to happen.
And I have to tell you, I never check my Twitter messages. I hardly ever go on Twitter. We have like 1,900 followers, and I never check my messages. But something in my spirit the other day said, you know what, let me go in and clean out these messages. And I saw it, and I said, oh, my Lord, this is like tomorrow.
Right.
So tell me that's not God.
Oh, yeah.
This is meant to be. That's just,
yeah.
I know it happens, but it amazes me every time. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so P will get in contact with you, and we would love to have you on a Q&A with me, and P can just give you all the questions, because I know I'm going to get a lot of emails of people saying, hey, what about this situation? What about this? Y'all didn't cover this. There's some things we may have missed. But we're going to have her back on the show. We're going to let her have her. And she's going to have a straight form. So if y'all love this show, y'all going to get her just raw. And I need y'all to go out and pick her book up, go to our website and pick this book up so it can make some change in your life. And I'm going to pick it up. Me and P we'll be in and probably read it before we have you on the show next time, and we can talk about a lot of chapters.
Okay, that's great. And I just wanted to thank you both for having me on. This was a blessing, and it's just great to know you. It's great to know you.
Oh, great.
Definitely.
Yeah, we got to come out there and do a remote. We're getting ready to plan some stuff, so we need to come out there. Man, that would be a good remote to come to y'all shelter.
Well, we don't specifically have our own shelter. We direct people to where they can go. We don't have our own shelter, but it would be wonderful if you guys could come to the charity event. We're supposed to do it September 30th if we can book the date, but I will give you the information. It would be great to have you guys come.
Yeah, that would be good. And P needs another break to the East Coast anyway. We really need to get to upstate New York. It's beautiful. People always go to Manhattan, but you need to go upstate. It's very, very beautiful upstate New York. So.
Yeah, definitely. And you can tune in to the Love and Relationship Show. We are here each and every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 7 Central and 5 on the West Coast. Right here on Next Radio, you can go to www.nextradioonline.com. You can catch the archives. You can interact and everything else over there. And you can catch Next Radio on Twitter at twitter.com/nextradio. Also catch Next Radio on Facebook at facebook.com/nextradioonline. So there's several methods of getting in contact with it. If you would like to get in contact with Author Broderick Carter, he's on Facebook. Type in the search engine Author Broderick Carter. You can find him. You can find me, Inexplicable P. And, you can do all those things. And we definitely appreciate you for supporting, listening, and sharing Love and Relationship Show. And if you like this show and you're listening to it on Blog Talk Radio, you can hit that little button at the top that says follow the show. That way you can keep up to date with future shows, and we appreciate it.
Also, hey, tell them you can also get it podcast as well.
On iTunes. It's itunes.com/ I believe it's Inexplicable P, and that will give you the show. If you just type in Inexplicable P in iTunes, you can carry it on your iPod or your iPhone or whatever, and you can listen at your leisure. Definitely. But thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on next Monday. Had a wonderful conversation with Clarice. If you missed it and you came in on the tail end of it, definitely check the archive. I will be posting it on Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff so you can catch up with what you missed. And until then, have a wonderful the rest of your Memorial Day and have a safe week. God bless you and good night.